Yo, hello there guys, I hope you're doing well. My name is Mikey and welcome to the first time checking out the Dune Part 3 official trailer. I'm a little bit late, but we're back streaming live, links in the description. Let's see what's going on.
I trusted you! You promised me that you would never take power in your name. You convinced me that this was your home. That I was your home.
What do you know about me?
You have conquered the galaxy. You've destroyed thousands of worlds.
What are your thoughts on that?
I think you're way beyond redemption.
Why are you here?
To deliver a peace proposal.
Peace is a good thing. Why should I refuse?
Because it's meant to destroy you.
We plan to strike at the core of Imperial power.
You intend to kill Paul?
Regime change.
Idiot. You've just signed our death warrants.
I found someone. The future has a way of talking to me. I can't see what's ahead.
How does it feel to be human like everyone else, Paul Atreides?
You have no fear, do you?
I fear dishonor.
You sound like an Atreides.
I've been told I was one.
Forgive me for all I've done.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Okay, everybody who's chilling out with me live, basically I've been kind of off for a bit because it's been so hot and sweaty and disgusting. So I've just come back and we're just doing catch up. This trailer has been out for a couple of days. I have not watched it for a couple of days so that we could just take a quick look live. If you guys have sort of seen the Megaverse channel before, I think we should actually be over here. There we go. You've probably seen that I've done some reactions to these before. I won't turn this into a really long breakdown video, but we will just quickly break down what we're looking at because, oh, it's so good, it's so good, it's so good. Okay, right, one sec. By the way, links in the description. I've made some of the best Dune recaps ever on Filmcram, my recap channel. I'll tell you all about it later. So let's just have a quick look. I hope you guys are having a lovely day. We were just talking about the fact that I played Dune Awakening back at launch, got 3 million Solaris, got really good kit, lost it all because of the sandstorms. But I'm going to play it again as we go. So, as we've talked about many and many a time, the Fremen relationship of water is a very particular thing. And that their dream is to turn Arrakis into a desert paradise. And that the future is to like bring down water and the Fremen faithful get redeemed and all this sort of stuff. However, the reality is that once they start going places with water and once they start terraforming Arrakis, it actually completely F's with them psychologically. It's weird. So we've got Paul humming that what sounds like, you know, a child's song or a child's chant or an old Fremen lullaby. We've got imagery of water. Is it dirty? Is it just casual stuff he's dipping into?
What will we name her?
I've talked before about the fact in the teaser trailer that when you see the golden path, when you can actually see presciently into the future, it's not like a clear tunnel. It is like being in the desert, that you see the path sometimes dip in the horizon and then you lose it for a bit and you see that. So you see certain events, certain markers, and where you are in that path. Sometimes you're down in the bottom part where you can't see far. Sometimes you're at the top of a dune and you can see the path more clearly. And obviously what you do affects what you can perceive. And other people who have prescient abilities, i.e. who use spice to see into the future, because they're also clairvoyant, they are essentially dark spots. You can see into a mundane future presciently down a golden path. But any other person who can do the same becomes like a visual psychic anathema to that prescience. So people like in the guild Paul can't see them. He can perceive where they've been, he can perceive where they're probably going to go, but what they're proactively doing he can't see through his visions, because they also have an effect on that. It's a really weird thing. When everyone can see the future, no one can. Yeah, I think there might be like a really good word for it, but I don't know, but maybe you do. But basically what we talked about before is that they're talking about their one baby. She's like, what will you name it if it's a boy? What will you name it if it's a girl? And Paul, spoiler alert, can't perceive that they're twins, because one of them develops prescient abilities and therefore becomes another blind spot. So they're blind to the idea that there might be two kids instead of one. Ganima is a Fremen word for spoils of war. Like his own child is a result of the conflict. That's just dope. I don't know if that's in the books. I really can't remember.
Her name should be Ganima. She would need to be strong, like her mother.
And so these must all be flashbacks, right? When they were actually a good couple. Unless they get back together again following the very ending when they're split. They must get back together. Because in the books, because in the end of Dune Part 2, she obviously has the hump with him because he's had to knock her down for the sake of Irulan for the throne, and then started a galactic war using the Fremen as his pawns, the exact thing he promised not to do. She's a little bit miffed. In the books, they're together and they're solid. They're just being they're manipulated. Right.
What if it's a boy?
Did you start dating that big
I
worm?
would name him Leto. So he would have the wisdom of his grandfather.
Somebody remind me to change this chat to include the other platforms next time. The wisdom of his grandfather. So the original grandfather within the story of this is Leto's dad. They call him the Old Duke. So like most of the household staff came into working for Leto because he was the son of their Duke, the Old Duke, who died in a bullfight and who was much harsher, much ruthless man.
War feeds on itself.
So they're all tired, they're all left, they're all on a galactic pogrom. Between the first and second books, I'm assuming similar here, is a time span of 12 years. And in that 12 years... So this is why the second book is still brilliant, but like, the first book is very particular and very focused, and some of the conversations and references that happen in Dune Messiah are a little bit broader, which can affect your reading. But basically, he talks about how other historical characters, who he can genetically remember through his bloodline, would think things like, I've killed, certain people might have killed 6 million other people in certain well-known historical events, and considered themselves somebody who's done something that no one before them has ever done. And say Genghis Khan might have actually done more than that, and so on. And so in the space of about 12 years, the Fremen have had to go on to this giant, universal pogrom, this holy war, where they're forcing the rest of the Empire to bow to the fact that he is now their emperor. And so, they They sterilize 40 whole planets, like reduce them to nothing. They destroy major religions, they make other places inhabitable, and they force everybody under Paul's rule. And it's something mental. Like, he's killed conservatively 14 billion people, or it's like 40 billion people. It is galactic genocide on a scale that's never happened before, and it's everything that he was trying to avoid in the first film and succumbed to by the end of the second. And so we've heard this one before. When we watched the last trailer, we were doing it all night. Oh, LSD, LSD, Hama. So this is like some sort of Fremen chant or song. Apparently, there is an unofficial translation from behind the scenes notes or something. And this is Paul's song, his war song. And it's not about the war. It's about the fact that he's been forced into war. So it's like, Hamale Guli, LSD, Hamale. And apparently the lyrics are something like, keep the witch away from me. Take my children, keep them safe. It's some really like just sad, horrible reflection on the Bene Gesserit and their manipulating a situation that's rolled out of hand and his worries for the future as a war chant, but it's actually like full of woe, apparently. I don't know if that's official. And so I'm assuming in the film this is just going to be like I'm assuming we're just going to start the third movie on because basically this book is consequences, and it's all the stuff that's happened in Dune and the consequences of what that's taken away from everybody in the second book, and a plot that's the kind of main driving force. But all of this war happens between them. So I can only assume, but do you know how like the third Matrix movie, nothing happened and it was really dull until the end? I can only assume that they're going to front load this film with a giant montage of all of the war, and then just be like, okay, now everyone's going to stand in a room and have like debates with each other for the rest of the story until someone dies, which is kind of like what happened. There's just loads of people in rooms having clever conversations. We talked about this before being like maybe an Imperial ship. I don't know if this is just an Imperial ship that's provided for a certain group of people who are trying to kill Paul, but the lines and shapes and stonework and its architecture matches that of the old Imperial ecological stations that were on the planet in the beginning. And also, I think we mentioned before that the previous guild ship is worm-shaped and it's oval, and this one's kind of triangular, more dangerous. What do you call shape language? Semiotics? I think the throat singing is so iconic. Just everything in this is so solid. Yo, hey Grimfield. Hey guys, lovely to see you if we've not popped in. Yep, back after a big long break to catch up on trailers and do stuff. Hope you're all having a lovely day. Yeah, basically LSD, but that's he's not saying that, but he's saying LSD.
The more I fight, the more I do.
So basically back when they first did the first Dune movie, which is what, 2 hours long, something. Back when they were kind of doing that, and it was really, really hyped. I think Jason Momoa said he saw the working edit where they just put all the footage down that they've taken, and apparently there is like a 4 to 6 hour version of Dune, and Denis Villeneuve is not the type to kind of do director's cut to re-releases of movies, sadly, but there was an incredible amount of footage of Paul, his mum. Apparently the original start to Dune, instead of it being about the war on Arrakis, was actually going to be footage of Duncan getting hot dropped onto the planet, and doing that before Paul has any kind of like chat with him on Arrakis and stuff like that, and obviously rejigged it. Denis filmed a huge amount of footage, and I think in some cases he very, very clearly knew how he wanted something to play out, and in some other cases I get the feeling he filmed a lot and then just let the editor find the story that's in there. Oh damn, what's the editor again? Denis Villeneuve is an absolute banger of a director. But it's actually got a caveat, and that's ever since he worked with this particular editor who's got a very, not mundane, but just a very normal name. I'm going to look up right now. And the reason why I say that is because every Denis Villeneuve movie that you know that's awesome is specifically with Dune Part 1 Internet Movie Database. Director, writer, stars. Where's the rest of the does Internet Movie Database tell you this sort of stuff? All cast and crew. Okay, one sec. Sorry to just stop talking. Producers, cast alphabetically. Wait, oh, here we go. Joe Walker. Oh yeah, Joe Walker. Also now, thank you. You got there before I did. I think Brad was here. Yeah, big burnout. He went from PewDiePie and started working with Denis Villeneuve. So yeah, if you love Denis like I do, and mate, so many great films, it's actually what you love is Denis and Joe Walker editing his movies, and I'm grateful. Roger Deakins, I don't think did cinematography on Part 2 in the end because he was working on something else. I don't know who does that here, but it looks gorgeous. So here we've got Irulan. So basically one of the driving mechanics of this part is that, okay, Paul's Emperor, Paul has conquered the galaxy. Why is there another movie? And basically it's to, number one, point out how horrible that is, how it's affected everybody, but also because everybody is trying to work out how do we undo all of this? Because nobody in power wants change, right? We are a legitimate political party wanting change. Nope, no change is allowed. We live in a nightmare. Nothing will ever change. Sorry, I'm an old man. So basically they're just like, how do we get power away from Paul? And what are the risks to people who do not want the whole world to be dominated by brown Fremen people? Like, but there's large swaths of America whose worst nightmare would be like where they get the oil from is now who also controls them. So it's a little allegorical, but basically they're just like, if we've got an enemy who can see into the future, how do we get rid of him? How do you assassinate a man who knows when you're plotting to assassinate him? And so Princess Irulan, Gaius Helen Mohoim, the old Bene Gesserit Reverend Mother from the others, a guild navigator, Edric or something, and a Tleilaxu face dancer, Skytail, form a plot. And they realize that they're going to have to attack him psychologically and affect him mentally in order to create an opportunity to kill him physically. And they need to do this before he has a kid, before he secures his empire and his rule with any kind of lineage. Because even though Irulan, lovely Irulan, is his wife, she's his technical wife, he will not touch her. He will not give her a child. So House Carino, I'm pretty sure that's who she is actually getting shunted genetically out of the lineage. And the Bene Gesserit hate that because it screws up with their breeding policy. She hates it because she's been essentially bred and trained to be the next wife of the next imperial successor. And it's Paul's way of maintaining control. But as long as he's not diddling her for the sake of a baby and failing to get a baby out of Chani, he is still at risk and still can be basically slapped off. And we can kind of undo some of the damage he's done. So... we'll talk about Robert Pattinson more in the future. Robert Pattinson, I like him more and more and more. I don't know if I like Batman or The Batman as much as I used to. I need to rewatch that film. So basically, I used to think that this was some sort of esophagus tomb tank as a visual motif, because inside of it is a dead body, a mummy. And I used to think that this was what they were transporting hate in. The Gola, which is Duncan, Idaho, which we'll talk about. But basically, we'll get to that when it's in the trailer. However, other people have pointed out that this is probably a container that is containing Edric. This is probably a very blurry, very distorted face, because it sort of matches the Stage 2 Guild Navigators, who are in Dune Part 1, who come to the meeting. You see that they are already wearing sealed suits with orange gas tanks on their heads, and it's profile-wise almost like a similar version to this, almost like a Pokemon evolution, where they're still walking around as people under their own weight, but they're like saturated in the geriatric spice. And by the time you're a stage 4 guild navigator, you're no longer human. You are a vaguely humanoid shape who spends all their time seeing into the future and has to get transported around in a spice saturated floating tank, so to speak. Yo, hey, whoopee, how you doing, guys? Nice to see you all again. And the reason why they have a guild navigator at their secret meetings to talk about killing Paul boils exactly down to what we were talking about with his son. Guild navigators help travel space. They don't make the ships travel through space or fold space. And you know what? There's two things that don't make sense, but we're gonna come back to that. Basically, in the books, there are ships that travel faster than light, go through the universe from one planet to another. But because they're doing that in a way that's not like, really easy to write off like in Star Trek, basically any ship that does that will get destroyed. It will, there'll be like a penny of rock floating in space, and it will faster than light pass through that penny and create like some sort of subatomic black hole explosion, and everybody dies. So the guild's navigators are essentially called steersmen, because the stage 4 ones like this, who have been living in spice for like 1,000 years, can see enough into the future that they can see the path that the ship must take. So they don't make a ship fold space. They guide a ship that still mechanically, technologically is folding space, but they guide it on that journey in a way that not everyone dies. They see through that path. And because they have spice-enabled prescient vision, Paul Atreides can't see them. He can't see them, he can't see what they do, and also he can't see those who associate closely with them. By which I mean Paul and Stilgar and his closest Fremen Fedakeen are all blind spots to the guild navigators, much like the guild navigator and their closest conspirators are blind spots to Paul. So that's why they have to bring one of these boys in. Skytail, or Sidetail, Tleilaxu face dancers. Where to begin, where to stop. I don't know if he does it in this, but he's from a planet that's got very advanced different types of humans that have been genetically altered, and they can change their appearance. Well, that'll do for now. We talked about this before, but like, because he's got such a high hairline, oh man, guys, can you imagine having a retreating high hairline? How embarrassing. Because he's got such a high hairline and it's bleached blonde, it really feels like we're still looking sometimes at just worse and worse Harkonnens. Like, you start off with the Baron in the first movie, and then the second movie you've got Fade, and now you've got like an even worse like kind of iteration. This guy's got bleached hair. You're just like, oh Christ, just wipe out those planets.
I'm doing the best I can to protect my family.
So, I wonder about this scene. I wonder,
I'm doing the best I can to protect.
I wonder if this is actually completely mundane. Paul, as Emperor, just walks around sometimes. He just walks around the city at night dressed as a Fremen, to just kind of still take it in and take a moment of freedom. Because like, now that Arrakis has become the center of the universe, there's religious pilgrims that are pouring in, there's the people in the cities getting richer in the cellars, and the Fremen of the deep desert, the OGs who actually live there, like, come in and fucking kind of half hate everyone and hate what's happening, hate the reality of their future. And so, like, when you see Fremen walking around the streets, like, everyone knows, like, you don't make eye contact with them, you don't nudge them, you don't with the Fremen. So Paul likes to go for little walks at night.
Protect my family.
I like the idea that they're just visiting all these different planets and have different relationships with water. But again, it's for wrapping up. It's for culling. And look, they're just walking into it. This feels like the tired end part of a big campaign and battle, where it's the final murdering of the last of these people is almost perfunctory to the Fremen, but everyone's so tired of this war. Here's Stilgar just being the absolute boy.
How did Father do it?
Oh my god! Okay, guys, don't hate me. I don't know when I accidentally did it, but I'm talking about the teaser trailer. I've just been talking about the teaser trailer for fucking ages. Okay. I was like, isn't there some other parts that we saw in this trailer that I wanted to talk about? Okay, let's talk about the trailer we've just been watching. Oh my god. I'm so sorry. I will probably cut that out and then everything will be fine. This video won't be too long. Right, let's talk about what's happening now then. Number one, when they were filming this, there was not enough natural light. Look at the grain. Is this an IMAX camera doing something grainy? Or have they had to dial up the levels in this footage? Because it's so grainy. Is that on purpose? Is that to make it feel like a flashback? Okay, guys, I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I might cut that and put that at the end of the video. So that if you're really bored, you can watch me talk about some old stuff by accident. But but let's cut straight to this. It's really grainy. Look at him. He looks like he knows there's nothing he can do. After basically saying he's going to marry Irulan and start a galactic pogrom, he's got a look of like, I just got to take it. There's nothing I can communicate right now that's going to help.
I trusted you! You promised me that you would never take power in your name.
Those flashbacks?
You convinced me that this was your home.
God, seeing now in the teaser trailer, this is a warm moment. And now it's like a lost memory with her just being so pissed off on the back of it.
This was your home.
Post 12-year war.
And I was your home.
So, this is kind of part of why I thought that, like, back when we first watched the teaser trailer, that I thought that this was actually going to be part one. Sorry, it's going to be the second and third books combined. Is because I know there's two kind of kids here, and I don't know if that's supposed to be Paul's children at the end of the film or a vision of Paul's children grown up in the future. I don't know what kind of time skips may or may not be in here, but basically I saw some slightly older actors cast as the children way back in the day. So I was like, oh, they must also be doing Children of Dune and merging it. So this is going to be Messiah apparently, but I still don't know if he's cherry picking a few things.
What do you know about me?
Right. Somebody suggested something interesting, is that in a lot of these scenes where Paul is looking down over the camera, that like they wonder if his eyes have been CG'd in, and if in fact in a lot of these shots he's blind. You know, just to confuse us.
You have conquered the galaxy.
So it's just corpses and mud. Now water, such a sacred life-giving thing to the Fremen, is now just defiled sludge with the dead.
You've destroyed thousands of worlds.
Yeah, that sucks. So this is still on Arrakis. Hundreds of crosses tilted towards the sun. Is that Alia? So Alia is like the virgin Bene Gesserit mother who's lived like endless lives. She is weird.
What are your thoughts on?
Is this also Arrakis? It must be. It must be a remodeled throne room. Now that Paul's become Galactic Emperor, Arrakis is now the center of the universe. It looks like there's been loads of remodeling, and there's now this kind of religious Kizate that sort of like deify him and, you know, start killing historians without his knowledge. Basically, anyone who doesn't go mad about Paul being their new god, people start disappearing, getting tortured in the background. Obviously, this is Hate, who's come to be delivered to him. A Gola, which is a Gola, which is a reborn person from the flesh of a previous person, but without their memories. This Gola has been bred and programmed with the knowledge of a kind of a fort philosopher type, as well as still the training of his swordmaster days. But the person this is not Duncan at this point. And so Paul is like examining his gift. And the kind of conversation they have it's one of those kind of two clever people in a room say very little but cut to the core of their concerns sort of chats that I like.
I think you're way beyond redemption.
Is that supposed to be a giant statue of Paul? I mean, it must be, because here's the Atreides eagles. This is the new Uber ziggurat that's been built in Arrakis? Like, insane.
Why are you here?
To deliver a peace proposal.
Peace proposal. So in the books, he's a gift. And because he's also trained as a mentat. So in the books, Paul is trained as a mentat duke. And this gift of hate is also a mentat Zensuni philosopher. Pyongomagomu, lovely. Hi, guys. And so Paul is like, why do you think they gave me to you as a gift? And he's like, I believe I've been sent to destroy you. So we must use caution. But like, he can't stop talking to Duncan. He can't stop. It's like, you know, you can't turn away from the fact that it's one of your best mates from 10 years ago being brought back to life, even if it's just a shell of him. Okay, so I don't know, like, if this orange headband means that these are Fremen Fedaykin. I don't know if they're still structured the way they used to be, or if these are the Kizati lot, which are the more religious side that see Paul as a god. I don't know if this is supposed to be like, is it Corbo or something?
Peace is a good thing. Why should I refuse?
Here we go. So I was talking in great detail about this on an old trailer, but at least this shot is lit completely differently and it's lovely. But yeah, here we've got Sightale, here we've got Gaius Helen Mohoim, I assume. Here's Eldrick. So yeah, here you go. Here's an example. So here's the stage 2 guild navigator. They're still walking around, and I would assume that these are like stage 1, but basically it's just spice saturation destroying and reshaping your body. And then you've got loads of the Bene Gesserit. Naughty. I wonder where they are. Probably on the Carino homeworld, I guess, because there's palm trees.
Because it's meant to destroy.
I have no idea what that is. I just can't remember what that might be. It's not like the skull of his father or something in a tank. Is that an embryo thing? What am I looking at there? Is it a tiny sandworm?
For you.
Sorry, I think that means I have to... When it pauses weird like that, I think I have to delete my cache. Just wait for the video to catch up. Oh. Sorry, everything's gone really hot and slow. It's a rectangle! They use lots of contrasting light in their compositions. Yeah, so Denis Villeneuve does his best to expand sets so they're as big as possible. And he manages to keep things always very sparse while still making it feel opulent. I don't quite know how to put it. But he never overclutters a shot with extra stuff to try to show off. He just makes sure that the set is expanded so big that it feels like pure power and riches.
Because it's meant to destroy you.
Here we go. Here's the bit I wanted to talk about. The Fremen go to planets now. I'm assuming this is not a terraformed Arrakis. But here's Stilgar seeing an actual real ocean for quite possibly the first time. And I'm assuming this is after they've killed the last of those kind of samurai-looking folk in an earlier shot. And this psychologically absolutely messes them up. Because there's Fremen who are too scared, superstitiously or whatever, to even go in the ocean. And there's others that do. And they're just like, it's a poison water. And they treat it like a spirit journey. Where like they go in the ocean and they're essentially like baptized. Because like never have a Fremen seen, like they can come up with they can like imagine a river and a big river. But the idea of the ocean is so alien to them. And water being the most precious thing that they've ever come across. To us, it's like going to like a planet. And then, like, the planet is just made of lots of diamonds. And you're just like, oh, I guess we swim in diamonds. And diamonds are annoying now? Like, it's just a complete power change. And so they Fremen come back with stories where they talk about bathing in the water of the sea, and how like when they come up, they see like, you know, it's just detritus and death from the war, and to them it's like a holy moment that like has this effect, and those who kind of bathe in the sea and come out again are changed, and they're no longer like adherents of Paul and the jihad, and those who don't bathe in the sea stay as like crazed men who will just kill and kill. And it's like this mental psychological reshuffling for all of these people. It's like just something that they are psychologically not prepared to deal with, and they take it in really weird ways and it's with them, and then they come back home and they hate Paul and they hate what's happened, the very thing that they've been spending generations of their lives to try to turn Arrakis into.
We plan to strike at the core of Imperial power.
She's covered in mud.
You intend to kill
There's a splooging joke in there, but I'm being really good.
Paul?
So this is obviously when Irulan's now being brought into the conspiracy. Helen Mohim, Skytail, and Edric have set it up. And like I was saying about how like if you're a clairvoyant on a golden path, other people who are kind of like allied with you very, very closely emotionally and psychologically, they also become things that other clairvoyants can't see. So it's not just the person, but those who are very tight to them. And so this conspiracy conversation they have where they kind of like bring her into it is a really interesting one, because basically if Princess Irulan does not agree, if she's not on board, they have to kill her, because they have to have her wholeheartedly also want to use this particular plan to kill Paul, so that she emotionally and conspiratorially is tight with these guys and tightly bought in, so that Edric the Guild Navigator's kind of prescient camouflage includes her. And if she's not 100% committed and just says yes or whatever, then she's not caught in with that conspiracy and she's not hidden by it, and therefore Paul will be able to see part of it. And so they have to like, this is like a test for her.
Regime change.
Idiot. You've just signed our death warrants.
I'm assuming after she says that, they sort of explain about prescience a bit to set up the mechanics of this movie. Alia being awesome. I think Alia is supposed to be 14 by then. An experience that changes their perceptions. Yeah, completely. Does the ocean and water have unique properties in that universe? No, it's just seas on other planets. But like, there's just things that they just don't know. Like, they try to drink it and stuff. They don't know why it's bitter and why it's wrong.
I found someone.
So this is just trailer bait. He says he's found someone, you know, their kill Paul conspiracy. And then it cuts to Chani, who had a big argument with Paul at the end of the last film, which is obviously BS. Chani's rock solid. And I'm assuming there she's knocking to find the boundary between the desert and a big rock shelf that's just below the sand, which is what stops that sandworm earlier. Although I don't know why, I don't know what's going on. So, back when we watched the teaser trailer, which we also watched just now a little bit by accident, one of the reasons why I kind of assumed this was a sarcophagus that was containing hate before he's then revealed and gifted to Paul, which I now completely disagree with. Obviously, this is now definitely Edric being plugged in, I guess, to the actual highliner that folds space. Oh yeah, we're going to come back to that point. One of the reasons, I guess, why I didn't think that is because, like, normally these guys float around in these giant tanks. To be a guild navigator, I think you have to be born in space and spend most of your life there and float around in these giant ships. So apparently they're super claustrophobic, and that also works with them psychologically. So him being plugged into a little slot like this, I don't think technically they're like that. But, you know, that's how babies happen.
The future has a way of talking to me.
Fremen do not shed tears for the dead. She sheds like a single tear in the second movie, and that is massive and important. but Fremen don't give moisture like this. So whatever she's going through here is really fucking her up emotionally.
Talking to me. I can't see what's ahead.
How does it feel to be human like everyone else, Paul Atreides?
I can't remember. I don't know what any of this is going to be for and or about. But it's awesome.
You have no fear, do you?
I fear dishonor.
God, what kind of interactions happen between Alia and Gaius Helen Mohaim? I just can't remember. Sorry, I'm leaning, I'm thinking, I must go back and reread that. Mikey Pixie Wink Wonk misses me. I know. I'm sorry we're in the wrong chat because it's got the Megaverse thing. There we go. We'll just go here. I'm also Mikey Mega. Also, are his eyes different now? Do his eyes change throughout this film? Weren't they white earlier?
You sound like an Atreides.
I've been told I was one.
I don't know. I could have sworn in the books he had metallic eyes, or maybe that was something else. Why did I think that? So again, I'm assuming this is the Stonecutter section, the Stone Burner. And this is Paul towards the end of the film then? I assume that's him. That's his little tattoo. So at this point, I'm assuming Paul is blind. And I wonder if a lot of other scenes are at this point with his scars around his eyes.
Forgive me for all I've done.
I'm very, very excited. The other books expand a lot more about what the Bene Tleilax are up to, because they're sort of name dropped in the OG Dune movie, like right at the beginning of stuff. There's the Ixians on Ix with their technology. There's the Richess for also make tech, and they're kind of both doing it against the prohibitions. But the Bene Tleilax have a 2-tier caste system, and women are turned into axolotl tanks instead of being people. And basically, imagine if you have, like, I don't know, because it's so vague, but you always know it's disgusting. Imagine, like, if you're born a woman, then basically you have your frontal lobe taken away and your uterus is opened up and turned into a giant, like, breeding machine, and your consciousness is killed off. And but they do that as, like, an entire planet caste system. So they're able to make genetic stuff that nobody else is making. So I really would be curious to see if we see Skytail doing weird face dances stuff, or if they're just going to leave him as Robert Pattinson the entire time, or I don't know. What I did want to say is that the Spacing Guild navigators in the books, their ships, like I was mentioning, travel faster than light through space, and their job is to the reason why they're saturated in spice is so that they can see the future and see paths through which the spaceship doesn't interact with anything and get destroyed. Makes sense. In the film, the ship doesn't travel. The ships in the film fold space apparently internally, and so they act like wormholes where you go in one side, in one part of the universe, and you come out the other side of the ship as another. So they're no longer, in this series, transports that move loads of stuff. They act as gateways. So I'm assuming in this version of the universe, Stage 4 guild navigators are necessary to keep those gateways open or put those gateways in the right place. As opposed, like, literally, I think it fundamentally changes the mechanics of space travel and guild navigators and what they do, based purely on how they visually represented it in the movies. Wonder what Denis was up to there. I thought that was Steven Seagal for a minute. He better not be talking about me. I'm much nicer than him. Totally going to watch this in a theatre. So I just wonder if there's going to be like a play. It'll be like an IMAX thing in London that will screen part 1, part 2, and then do a midnight screening of part 3. Anyway, guys, if you're watching on YouTube, again, I'm sorry I'm a few days late to this. I've just been off having a life, being hot and miserable. I'm really glad we looked at this. I'm sorry I made us look at an old one for a minute. But yeah, it's just more of me being really excited, looking forward to this. So I'm going to have to reread the second book. And again, this is going to be a completely different experience to the first 2 films. And it's going to be horrible, and it's not going to be a fun time for the characters, but hopefully it's going to be a great time for us. Okay, guys, take care. Peace.